What's good, Academy Nation? It's your boy Cass here, coach of your Detroit Red Wingulls, and welcome back to the RGBL Season 15, Week 7 Team Builder versus Card in the Tomita Cherons. We're currently sitting at 5-1, which pretty much guarantees playoff, especially with our differential plus 14. That ties us at second in the league overall. We have an interesting, mostly mono-type team this week as we go against Card's water types. As I mentioned with the ice team that we fought earlier this season, this team can be hard to prep for even if all the mons have the same type, because it's really how you use those Pokemon that matter. The Cherons have Ogerpon, Wellspring, Quaquaval, Rotom Wash, Tentacruel, Slowbro with Terra Fairy and Water, Volcanion, Azumarill, Gastrodon with Terra Fairy, Poison and Ground, Fion with Terra Fairy, Electric, Steel and Dragon, and Hisui and Sliggoo. You can see the speed tiers of the team on the screen. Overall, this is a relatively slow team outside of Ogerpon and Tentacruel, which easily are outsped by my fastest mons. My top 4 beat his top 2. My top 3 beat his top 2, and my top 4 beat his top 2, beat his Tentacruel as well. So they have a good matchup overall into this team. There is a potential for Trick Room versus this team, which we must be aware of since it's a good bring against the team. I also know that Trick Room is relatively poor to use in singles because you waste turns getting it set up and getting the correct mons in, which ultimately is not great. It's not something I'm too concerned with this week, but it's definitely something that I have to note since we have to be prepared for anything. The big things we got to worry about this week is our Scarfers that have a lot of potential to show up this week, and set up with Quaquaval with some speed boosting options and Aqua Jet priority on these water types. My opponent probably wants to bring Ogerpon. The power it has causes problems. A defensive set could work well with Swords Dance. We see that pair with Horn Leech for some recovery. It has potential for Trailblaze to be the way to outspeed the team, which could be a problem if we let it happen. I think Tentacruel comes this week. It comes to check our Believe in Clefable. Likely it will want to be specially defensive with Black Sludge and carry Sludge Bomb for damage. It could bring Rapid Spin for removal if it anticipates that this week, but I think it's more likely going to want to set up the hazard, something like Toxic Spikes, to shut down the team and play the long game. Water types are known to be bulky, so play off the bulky water type and make a bulky team with Toxic Spikes. I think that's a good strategy. Rotom Wash feels good this week as a counter for Hawlucha and Suicune primarily. It likely will opt to be more defensively bulky to help the team not get swept by Hawlucha in the late game. It'll probably carry its Stabs, Thunderbolt, and Hydro Pump, and want Volt Switch for utility, and probably Will-O-Wisp to deal with my physical attackers. Volcanion is just a special attacking beast, and I definitely think it comes this week for offense. I wouldn't be surprised if it ran something like Assault Vest or Heavy Duty Boots to annoy hazards. I definitely see it as a mostly special attacker that will cause problems for my team. He may opt to go Choice Specs, which is a problem for some of my slower Pokemon, but we do have ways to beat Volcanion outside of that set because it's what I've been prepping for mostly when I'm looking at damage. Slowbro is a great boost for this team because it's a jack of all trades. It could be a Trick Room setter, it could be a pivot option, it could go for full offense, it could actually some set up sweeping things with Sword Power, but I think it has good Terras for my team as well, likely wanting to be Terra Fairy since they may not expect Iron Shreds to be brought this week for fear of those water types. I'd also see it being a Calm Mind set to try to win the game against my special attackers. It might be left off because of Darkrai though, so that is something to note. And I feel like Sliggoo is the glue that works for this team this week. Sap Sipper is a great ability to stop our Believe, which obviously their biggest worry on my team. It's also a counter to Darkrai and my other special attackers that will want to come in and beat them. Eviolite with 113 base special defense is absolutely ridiculous. Combine that with a pretty good HP stat and defense that you can invest into, it's going to be a problem this week to take on, and I definitely think my opponent would be remiss not to bring it. Other brings for the team this week, pretty much anything can come. That's kind of the thing that happens with monotype teams, and it's also why it's hard to prep. Azumarill has a good chance to show up this week. That depending on its set, it could be supportive or it could determine also to be a belly drum sweeper with huge power. It might be bulky with Sap Sipper. It's got some options this week. Gastrodon isn't bad, especially because it has options for Terra, Ground, and Poison. Quaquaval could be a good sweeper with Moxie if it's played right. Fiona is the only thing I don't really expect. It's not even great with its Terra options, but hey, it's an option that the opponent could bring, so we have to prep for it. Fairy is a good bring for all their Terra captains. I definitely could see that coming this week. I could see Poison and Ground for Gastrodon as well to deal with our Believer. And Fiona should not be coming, but yeah, it's got some interesting terras to deal with that I think we are covered with. So not a real big deal there when it comes to Fion. But enough of what my opponents bring. Let's talk about what we're bringing. We're starting off this week with Silpharkle Fable with leftovers. It's got Unaware this week, and I have max HP, max defense, a little bit of special defense investment with Bold Nature. Moonblast, Thunderbolt, Calm Mind, and Moonlight are the optimal set for this week. Honestly, it's probably my best option, one of my best options for this week's team. There's not much that takes it on well, especially with a bulky setup set. The main purpose of this set would be to deal with Quackball to stop Moxie from being an issue. It's also good against some variants of Slowbro and Azumarill. It beats Gastrodon without Terra Poison. There's many options to get this thing set up against this team and then do damage right back. And as we saw last week, and as I've been saying all season when I bring a set like this, the Fable has the potential to be a big threat in this match and can even be a win con at the end of the game. So we have to be wary of that and try to keep this thing alive as long as possible. Next up, we got Austin the Darkrai with Wide Lens this week. I have bad dreams because I have to. I am 120 HP, 136 speed, and max special attack with a timid nature. I have Thunder, Hypnosis, Dark Pulse, and Nasty Plot as my set this week. Darkrai has a bit of a meme set this week. It's honestly a set I've been wanting to bring all week, but I absolutely want the coverage in Thunder for this set because of the water types that we're facing. I have Wide Lens to boost my accuracy, so hopefully we can actually land hits. I mean, it's 77 instead of 70, so it's not a great boost, but it's still something that can be useful. The good parts are we aren't super punished for missing one of our moves this week, but Darkrai missing every move is a problem because that's always going to be a problem. Overall, Darkrai beats the whole team outside the Sliggoo with the set, and I can still punish Sliggoo by putting it to sleep, which is pretty cool. And part of the reason I opted for Hypnosis this week. I likely want to use this early in the battle so I don't have to rely on the terrible accuracy late in the game. We just gotta hope that RNG works for us at least a couple times to make Darkrai useful. The speed is great, specifically speed creeping Jolly Ogerpon, so I will outspeed my opponent's entire team outside of their Scarfers. I'm a little mad this week that I can't run Modest. It's literally just a couple points and I have to opt for Timid. You see how much I have to invest just to get there, but speed is more important this week for Darkrai. It's meant to do some damage, and max special attack already hurts. So something like Thunder will still do a lot of damage to my opponent, and I think it's great for this week. And I'm excited to finally get to bring Hypnosis to try to make use of my ability for once, because I think that has the potential to do some work this week too. Up next is Luck the Hawlucha with Grassy Seed this week. Unburden is the ability. I am weird investment in EVs this week with 184 special defense, 72 attack HP, and 252 attack. I'm Adamant Nature to boost my attack stat. I have Close Combat, Swords Dance, Acrobatics, and Roost. Luck is great bring this week. We're running a bit of a different Unburden set than we've run in the past with Grassy Seed as the proc item. It's more reliable in this case than any of the other items we use, especially since we have a terrain setter on the team. Hawlucha deals with a large portion of this team with Swords Dance, and it can pretty much take on most of the other team anyway. It's really only dislikes Slowbro and Rotom and priority users. Otherwise, +2 Swords Dance boosted is probably a guaranteed sweep any day of the week. The hope is that we can get it in at the right time, use it against my opponent in the right ways, and get a sweep with it. I like that we're able to defense in some of our defenses this week because this is such a slow team. I don't have to boost my offensive speed. I can just get that speed with Unburden from getting the switch in, and I don't have to worry about it at all. Even a Scarfer on my opponent's team doesn't outspeed Unburden boost, which means we're gonna have to keep our eyes on those spinners and those things that are gonna be setting up to try to get faster, as well as any priority users. I mean, that's how Lucha's Bane is priority. That's just what it is. I really wanted to run Upper Hand. I've been wanting to run Upper Hand from the set for a while, but I think Roost is just a better option in the 4th slot to get recovery, because I also can Roost onto grassy terrain to, 1, get rid of my flying typing, but 2, also get that recovery from the terrain. So we get a little bit more power there for Hawlucha. Grassy Seed's also great because I get a defense boost, which allows me to take on some of the defensive Pokemon, the more offensive Pokemon physically better. And I think that Hawlucha has a great option for that. So obviously I have to have a terrain setter for Hawlucha, so we're bringing Mimosa this week with Eject Button and Seed Sower as my ability. I am Terra Poison this week, which is important to note. I have almost max HP, 252 with special attack, and a little bit of speed investment just to outspeed the speed tie that we have versus Gastrodon in case he decides to invest in 4 speed to try to outspeed a 0-speed Arboliva. We want to be just a little bit faster, so that's why I'm going for 8 instead of going for 4. Arboliva is also running Modest Nature to boost that special attack stat. I've got Giga Drain, Terra Blast, Alluring Voice, Earth Power as my set. It's a must bring this week because grass is good against water. I could literally just stop right there and be justified in my statement, because when you have a mono water team, you bring a grass type, you bring an electric type, and since I don't have an electric, this is my best Pokemon. We have a little bit more of a niche for Arboliva though this week, so I want to talk about that. Arboliva forces Volcanion to show up on my opponent's team because it walls us fairly well. Seed Sower can help us live a hit better this week, but it also boosts our grass type move, making that Giga Drain even stronger. I also feel like Azumarill or Sliggoo has to come this week to bring Sap Sipper to deal with this as a problem. Terra Poison comes this week after many people said it was such a weird Terra before, but it's actually really good this week. Poison covers my fighting weakness, making this a solid matchup for Quackball. It also doesn't make us bad against Tentacruel, which might want to counter us as well with something like Sludge Bomb. It doesn't really impact the Slowbro matchup too much as long as my bulky offensive set, it's not a bulky offensive set with stored power or something like that. We're mostly running this thing to support Hawlucha this week, but we can be really effective ourselves, and there's a good match for Arboliva, so I'm going to bring this, and regardless of having an item or not, Arboliva can do work. I did really want to bring Assault Vest this week to try to be more specially defensive. It really would help out against something like a Specs Volcanion, but we have to realize that I need to really support what's going to be sweeping, and that is Hawlucha this week. So we got to get that set up and ready to go there. Finral the Mesprit makes its return holding Assault Vest. It's got Levitate this week. It is max HP, a little bit of special attack with 100 and 156 in special defense. Calm Nature with Psychic Thunderbolt, Knockoff, and Energy Ball. Mesprit finally makes its way back this week because we need an answer for Volcanion. As I said, I wanted to make it Arboliva, but that just didn't seem right, so Mesprit actually does that pretty darn well. If you look at what Volcanion wants to run, it's Fire and Water Stab, Earth Power, and Levitate really deals with that. Assault Vest gives us great defensive capability against Volcanion, so it can't really do anything for us. It also does well to stop the special offense of my opponent and the other ones that might be out there. Initially, I wanted to run Charge Beam in this last slot, which is why it's on the layout and not Energy Ball, but it's Energy Ball, promise you. But Energy Ball gives us an answer to Gastrodon if it shows up without Terra, so I really need that. We also have a great matchup into non-setup Slowbro, Quackball without Knockoff, and it'll probably be more as a utility piece early on in the battle to allow our other team members to get set up, do a little bit of chip damage, and provide the way for something like Hawlucha to sweep at the end. And last but not least, we have Klaus, our Iron Treads this week with Weakness Policy. I am Quirk Drive because I have to be. I am 252 HP, 252 attack, and a little bit of defensive bulk. I'm Adamant Nature with Earthquake, Supercell Slam, Rapid Spin, and Knockoff. I really had a hard time working with this slot and making it work for this last team slot. None of the rest of mine's on my team have a great matchup into this team, so it's kind of like take what you feel like it works best for the final slot. I thought Weakness Policy set would be a good niche this week, especially as a lead option with Iron Treads. I have a good potential against most of the team thanks to getting Weakness Policy and Rapid Spin to help boost myself, so I can boost my speed and my attacks. But Weakness Policy is a good niche because everything's a water type and everything's going to have something super effective for me with Stab. So Klaus is a really good matchup in those cases. Even if I can't secure a KO, I can solve problems with Knockoff. But realistically, I want to keep this around for Tentacruel to switch in to prevent hazards. A flip turn also procs my Weakness Policy, and if I click Rapid Spin on that same turn, I can outspeed all of my opponents with this Pokemon. There are some roadblocks to Tread sweeping this week, which is going to be something we deal with when we set it off. Again, the problems are Rotom and Slowbro, so I expect both of those to show up this week, but we can knock either of them off for our troubles, likely removing leftovers on both of them. If I play it correctly, I can beat them on a switch, but that requires a little bit more prediction on my part, which could be good if I want to play a middle ground play and just click Knockoff. If I do see Gastrodon, I will be a little bit more hesitant to click Supercell Slam, but otherwise, I'm probably just going to click that. But Knockoff is still really good for the team. If I play it correctly, I also can do a lot of work against Tentacruel, because Tentacruel has to fear that I'm going to click Stab Earthquake, and I'm going to one-shot it. So if it's not defensive, it'll have to do something about that, which is causing it to switch out. The good part about this team being a water team is that every single Pokemon procs weakness policy. I just mostly want it to come for Tentacruel, but I feel like it could go out against anything, get set up, and then do the work that we need it to do. It was an interesting bring, and I kind of feels weird leaving things like Crocalore and Knackle off after they've been so useful, but I don't really see them being great against the water team because of their weaknesses. So we have to bring what we can, and I think a weakness policy set works better than an Eviolite defensive set this week. This week has definitely been proven to be difficult to prepare for. I feel good about the team that I'm bringing, but there's always the potential for anything to happen. And because it's a mono-type team, I have a lot of questions going into this match. But let's just hope we have the right 6 to get another dub this week. But as I said, even if we lose this match, we pretty much are guaranteed playoffs. So it's kind of more of a free match to let me try some of these things like a weakness policy, Iron Treads, and low accuracy Darkrai. But I mean, if we lose, we lose. That's what it is. But I think we have a good team to get a dub this week and do some work against Card and his team. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. Make sure to like button, subscribe to the channel for more so you don't miss, especially the battle tomorrow. That'll be up at 6 p.m. So please check that out. There's also a link in the description if you happen to be watching this after the fact. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch these team builders. I always say these are the most important part of Draft League after drafting your team. Because you got to draft a good team, build a good team, and then have a good battle. And the only way you can do that, have a good battle, is, of course, building a good team to take on your opponent. So I think we have the right sets. I think we have the right uses for the team. I think we can do well this week. I haven't practiced because I haven't had a mock since week 1. But, you know, we've been doing well. So I'm just hoping that I brought the right stuff. I've thought about it enough, and we can do the work that we need to do to get another dub and secure playoffs firmly for us. But the only way we really get out of playoffs is if we lose 6-0 in the next 2 weeks. So we're pretty comfortable, but anything can happen. Thank you guys for watching, though. I appreciate you. Thank you for supporting the team this season, and we'll catch you in the battle tomorrow. So until next time, my name is Chaos, your coach of the Detroit Red Wingulls. We'll see you. Stay safe out there, and as always, burn it up.